How's it going, party people? Skydubs here, back again with another legit ranking. Today we'll be ranking all 54 NPCs in Skylanders Spyro's adventure, both on console and the DS. Now, it took me a long ass time just to find every single NPC in the game, and I had to sit through the thing I hate the most, which is dialogue and cutscenes. So yeah, I did not enjoy making this video, and it took me a long ass time, but I really hope you enjoy it, and yeah, let's just fucking start. At number 54, the worst NPC in Skylanders Spyro's adventure is Visa. Now, there is nothing really wrong about her, it's just that she has only one line in the entire game, and her name reminds me of something. Next up, we have, sheep. Oh, but Serbian sheep aren't NPCs. Well, that's what I thought, but they do have some dialogue on the DS. Don't believe me? Well, here you go. Okay, maybe that's not what you're looking for. How about this? Okay, I give up. On a more serious note though, the reason I hate them is this fucking shit, where you need to fight sheep in order to collect apples. This is easily one of the worst parts of the entire game. At number 52, 51, and 50, we have Doggerts, Fangs, and Chance. Now I'm putting these together because they look pretty similar. They all force me to play this fucking card game. And yeah, Doggerts is the worst one because his name is fucking horrible. I mean, Doggerts. What the fuck? Fangs isn't interesting at all. And Chance actually seems like a decent guy, but then again he's a pirate, so you know, what can you do? The next one may surprise some people, but it's Flavius. I honestly hate him. Not only do I have to go on these annoying flights because of him, not only is he hard to control, but he also never shuts up during these flights.
Woohoo! Yeah, take that, you dumb! Yeah, take mine! This never gets old! Uh-oh, air mine! Another air mine ahead! Nice shooting! We showed that mine a thing or two! Skylander! Vathik won't stand a chance against us! I sure never get sick of this! Oh, I can fly like this for days! In fact, I often do!
Yeah, if you couldn't tell, I hate him. Next up, we have Esmeralda. She's an NPC from SSA on the DS. She's pretty forgettable as she has only 3 lines, but she doesn't even have a voice, it's just fucking text. But the reason she's so low is because she looks fucking terrifying. I mean, just look at her, look at those eyes, they're staring right into my soul. Next up, it's Citizen from Stone Town. Yeah, I didn't really know this guy existed, but yeah, his name is unoriginal. He has 1 line in the entire game. He's forgettable. Looks like every other Mabu. Let's just continue. At number 46 and 45, it's Nasty and Arcane. The reason I put them together is because you find them on the same level, which is Darklight Crypt. They look identical. They both have nothing to say and are equally forgettable. The same can be said about Newbury and Ike from Shattered Islands. They're both regular Mabus with just 1 line. Newbury just tells you where the key is, and Ike seems like a decent guy, but again, he's forgettable. And again, the same can be said about Moloken Survivor and Moloken Survivor. Yeah, they don't have names, but unlike the previous ones, these two have 2 things to say instead of just 1, and they show up in the hub area and they make it look cooler. But they only show up after Crystal Eye Castle and disappear after Stone Town, which meant I had to play the first 8 levels just to get 30 seconds worth of dialogue for this video because I couldn't find them anywhere on the internet. Great. At number 40, it's Lujubrius. Yeah, this guy has a horrible name. However, unlike Nasty and Arcane, what he has to say is interesting, to say the least.
Delicious pie made of apples, made all the ghosts cackle. flaky and pretty putrid crusts. Eat them till our stomachs bust.
At number 39 and 38 we have two more pirates, Bandit and Wolf. I prefer these two over the previous ones. I think Bandit is slightly better, and Wolf has some pretty interesting insults.
And you salty swab! Bang way, you scurvy-infested blowfish!
Lockmaster Imp may look cool, but it's an annoying NPC for sure. It doesn't have a lot of dialogue, but when it does,
Spaghetti underwear.
it sucks. So I'm glad it doesn't have a lot of dialogue. Also, because of him, you have to do these puzzles, which aren't the greatest. And thankfully though, he returns on Darklight Crypt, where you can kill him as many times as you want, because he deserves it. Next up, we have Jess Legrand. Yeah, I don't really care about this Callie clone. She isn't interesting and somehow manages to get trapped at the end of the level, so now I have to break into a fucking pirate castle and play this stupid card game again to free her. She sucks. Next up, we have Gallant. He is the best ghost in Spyro's adventure as he helps you beat Oculus. He doesn't do anything else, but I like him. Shipmaster is okay, I guess. You find him in Pirate Seas. He says a couple of things. He also helps you control the ship so you can destroy a pirate island, which is cool, but he's nothing special. Next up, it's Haldor, another very annoying NPC. I don't know why, but his voice is really irritating, especially the wahoo he does. I do like his design though, so I decided not to put him too low because of that. At number 32, 31 and 30 we have Tiswig, Beaufort and Humphrey. These names fucking suck, but they are all from SSA on the DS. They're basically identical to Esmeralda, but their designs are a lot cooler and a lot less horrifying. Apart from that though, they're pretty forgettable. This may shock some people, but the next one is Callie. This is where we start talking about the more memorable NPCs. Now, Callie isn't anything special, she does play a decent role in the story, however she isn't really interesting or funny, but she does give us heroic challenges. And they fucking suck. And even worse, she's annoying during some of them. Shut the fuck up. The next one is Ramses. I like him, but sadly he is only present in Dragonspeak and doesn't have a lot of dialogue, which is sad because he definitely deserved it more than Flavius did. But yeah, because of that I can't really put him any higher, even though I do really like him. An NPC who suffers from too much dialogue is Batterson from Darklight Crypt, who sells spice to ghosts, which is pretty cool. He even gives us spice on most levels after we beat Darklight Crypt. However, he has the most annoying cutscene in the entire game. It's not even that annoying, but it lasts for 2 minutes and it's unskippable. So every time you go to play Darklight Crypt, you have to wait for 2 minutes to start playing. I don't know why they didn't make it fucking skippable. And sadly, he's the last NPC from Darklight Crypt, so I cannot use this meme anymore in this video. Sad times. The next one is Clamtron 4000. Now, I do really like him, and I do like his design a lot. I think it's one of the coolest ones here, but I have to say something. First of all, this guy forces you to commit a massacre on clams, which is bad enough, and they kinda deserve it, but still. He promises in return he'll give you a pearl, and yet he gives you a fucking bomb. What a scam. And that's pretty much it. He doesn't really do anything else in the story, but I still like him. At number 25, we have Fargus from SSA on the DS. He is Vandal's dad, and I will talk about Vandal more, but he has all of his lines voiced. Yes, he doesn't have a lot of lines, but that is at least better than some of the other ones. He also has a really good design, and even though he only shows up at the beginning, he at least comes back at the end of the game. Unlike your dad, who never came back. Next up, we have North. Now, what I do like about North is that you save him in Shattered Islands, and then he comes back later in the Goo Factory and the battlefield. However, out of all of those mabus that show up in more than one level, he's definitely the least interesting one. Next up, we have Dreadbeard. He's the best pirate in this game for sure. Even though the pirates all look similar, he's got the best design and he's by far the most memorable one. And even though he's a really fucking cool villain, he still makes me play 2 rounds of this stupid fucking card game, and I really don't like that. The next one is Vathik. In my opinion, Vathik is probably the coolest villain in the game. He has a great design, but sadly, we can only find him right at the end of Dragon's Peak, and we don't even get to fight him. Like, I feel like if there was like a level entirely about him, or maybe if there was like a great boss, I feel like he would definitely be in my top 10. Next up, we have Vandal. He's basically the main NPC on the DS, he has the most dialogue. However, most of that dialogue isn't voiced. The only things that are voiced are the beginning cutscene and the ending cutscene, but I still think he's a pretty cool character. At number 20, a shocker, it's Chaos. Now, if you've been watching my channel for some time, you'll know how much I dislike Chaos as a main villain. I just really don't get an evil feeling out of him. He's more of a joke to me. His design isn't really great. I mean, he's fucking bald. Though I will give them credit, the giant floating head is indeed awesome. It's a shame that whenever we see it, Chaos doesn't shut the fuck up. Honestly, he is so annoying during the boss fights, and in half of his cutscenes, he either falls down from the portal or chokes on something. Man, I hate him. However, I really feel like it would be unfair to put him lower, just because of how iconic he is in the franchise, but I cannot put him higher. I think top 20 is pretty fair. At number 19, we have Weapon Master. One thing I've always liked about him is his backstory, He's one of the last remaining ancient Arcaneans, which is pretty cool, and his design is fucking awesome. The one thing I never understood was how and why is he able to talk over holograms? But I will not question shit in a game where you have dinosaurs shooting fucking boomerangs. Next up, we have Mayor Legrand. Now, first of all, his drip cannot go unnoticed. Look at that hat. Look at that suit. Great looking. As for an NPC though, he's nothing special, but he does have a daughter, so we all know what that means.
You naughty, naughty. You teasing me, you naughty, naughty.
The next one is Hector, the last NPC from the DS. Now, I am aware that he barely says anything during the game, but I feel like since he's the main villain, and in my opinion he's a much better main villain than Chaos is, he anyways shows up on every single level, the whole Hector is coming thing, and his design is pretty awesome. I think it's fair to put him this high. Next up, it's Diggs. Now, some people hate him and some people love him. I'd say that I like him. I think he's a cool character, and I love the fact that he shows up on different occasions during the game, so he's one of the main characters in the story. First on Chapter 8 and Chapter 9, and then all the way on Chapter 18 and 19. And also, this will always be funny to me.
Oh, yes! One more thing, and this one is very important. Once you get past the gate...
Next up, we have Hugo. He's the NPC with the most dialogue, but it doesn't mean much. He can be funny at times, and he has a decent design, but what I always disliked is how forced his hatred towards sheep is. I understand they're trying to be funny, but the jokes about sheep aren't the greatest.
These creatures may appear to be friendly, cuddly piles of fluff, but turn your back on them and they turn into wretched lint balls with beady little eyes staring at your every move.
See what I mean? I know some people don't like him a lot, but I really like General Robot. I mean, look at him. He looks cool as fuck, and he even managed to recruit mabus to fight in a war against trolls. Also, once you beat the game, he sets fireworks off for you, and the fireworks suck, but it's the thought that counts. The next one is Oculus. You really thought Batterson was the last one from Darklight Crypt? Well, you were wrong, because Oculus is. But yeah, this is actually the last time I'm using this meme, I apologize. Anyways, I don't know why, but I have always loved Oculus. Similar to Vathik, he's another villain that could have benefited from a bigger role instead of just being shoved into an expansion pack and never mentioned again. He has a dope design, and also, how could I forget about his giant maze? I mean, every single villain ever should have a giant maze. That is so fucking cool. Next up, we have Rizzo, another character who we see on two different occasions during the game. First, we help him escape the tornado all the way back on the first level, and then he comes back as the army leader to fight the trolls with us in the Goo Factory and battlefield. Okay, maybe he doesn't fight, he stands and does nothing, but I still like him. Continuing with the mabus, we have Snuckles. Everything I just said about Rizzo can be said about Snuckles. It's just that Snuckles has one level where he is the only NPC, and that is the reason he is higher. Also, he gave us this moment which I used to find hilarious, and it's still pretty funny.
Owie, owie, stingy! Wow, that hurt! I should just go home! No, wait, I need to fight!
Starting off with the top 10, we have Quigley. The reason he is this high is because he's the only NPC who can see a difference between Skylanders. And no, I'm not gonna count Hugo saying Spyro at the beginning of the game. And yes, some of the things he says are horrible.
I like turtles!
But I can still respect him not being completely blind unlike the other NPCs on this list. And there are also some pretty cool things he says.
Haven't I seen you someplace before? You are by far the coolest dude I have seen on this island.
At number 9, we have Eon. Now, I always thought that he doesn't have that big of a role in this game, but after thinking about it, he kinda does. I mean, he has dialogue in Shattered Islands, Pearliest Pastures, and The Lair of Chaos. He also does the thing, you know, Skylanders of this element are stronger in this zone throughout the entire game, and he shows up in almost every single cutscene in the game. So yeah, I think since he's such an iconic character, just like Chaos, I think he deserves to be put in the top 10. Also, one thing before we move on, can somebody explain to me why he looks so different in this cutscene? Like, my guess is that this was like his original design and they just changed it later and forgot to replace this cutscene. That's my guess. If anybody can explain, please do so, but yeah, let's just continue. At number 8, I have decided to put Auric. Now, he barely has any dialogue, but the reason he is so high is because he's a Spyro reference. I mean, he looks very similar to Moneybags. He's basically what you would get if Moneybags went to the fucking gym for once. But what I don't understand is, why is that not mentioned anywhere in the game? And why the fuck is he called Auric and not Moneybags? That like doesn't make any sense to me. But unlike Moneybags, he gives you money. Basically, once you beat the game, you go to this place and he gives you a shit ton of money, which is fucking great. At number 7, we have Glum Shanks. Now, I've always liked Glum Shanks. It's a shame that we only see him in Lava Lake's Railway where he nearly burns to fucking death. But I still think the cutscenes with Chaos are a pretty good example of why I love him. He's just such a well-constructed character overall. What I mean by that is if there was a Netflix show about him, I would probably watch it. He doesn't seem evil at all. In fact, he seems very humble and like he doesn't even want to be here. And I don't really blame him. I wouldn't be able to handle Chaos's annoying ass either. At number 6, we've got Persephone. Now I know there are people that hate her, but come on now, she's not that bad. She's just kinda weird. However, she's the source of all of our upgrades, which is probably the most important thing we have gained from any NPC on this list. So yeah, no Persephone slander will be tolerated. And yes, it's Persephone, not Persephone, because that's how Flynn says it.
I can see you hit it off with Persephone.
Starting off with the top 5, we have the man, the myth, the legend, Blobbers. He only shows up on the first level and Moloken mine, but boy is he a great NPC. I think everybody who likes Skylanders has to love Blobbers. He's definitely the highlight of the first level of the entire franchise, and I mean, he's smart, but he's also pretty dumb. He's also really funny, yeah, I mean, I just really love Blobbers.
By Pythagoras' theorem, you're a Skylander, aren't you?
At number 4, it's Gurgle Finn. I feel like Gurgle Finn is a very underrated NPC. He never really got the appreciation he deserved. He is memorable, goes with us on free levels, which is pretty cool, and maybe it's just because I'm an idiot and have no sense of humor, but I find some of the shit he says hilarious. He's so great that I can even look past that absolutely atrocious name. At number 3, we have Arbo. Now, I have a lot of bias towards Arbo, mainly because of nostalgia, but yeah, he used to be mine and my dad's favorite NPC, so I just cannot bring myself to put him any lower, especially since he is funny, has a dope design, and has one of the best intros to a character.
Thank you for reviving me. I am Arbo, son of Barbo, child of Larbo, spawn of... It talks! It talks!
That is funny, okay? If you don't think that way, you can go and debate with a wall, I don't fucking care. At number 2, we have everyone's favorite NPC, Flynn. I'll get the negatives off first. I really hate how they made him constantly talk about girls. And that's it. And as for positives, he's voiced by Warburton. He has one of my favorite lines in the game.
See how I was able to hit that? That takes years of practice and skill. I know, amazing, right? Well, you can thank me later.
He's the best pilot in all of Skylands. He's hilarious, has a great design, flies you around the ruins whenever you want to, and he's probably the most iconic character that isn't a Skylander in the entire franchise. And the best NPC in Skylanders Spyro's adventure is T-Bone. If you know me, you'd already know about this, but yeah, T-Bone has no negatives. Memorable, good design, another amazing intro as we first have to pick up his bones so he can rebuild his body, but the reason he's my favorite is because he's one of the funniest characters in any game I have ever played. You can watch all his dialogue as he only talks from level 15 to 17, and if you don't think he's hilarious, and if you actually don't like a dancing skeleton who makes undead and skeleton puns and shoves his head on top of keys so he can stare through keyholes, well, you have a big problem.
Amazing, huh? Comes in pretty handy looking through keyholes. Oh, yeah. Save that for later.
You naughty, naughty. You teasing me, you naughty, naughty.
But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. This is probably the longest I've spent working on a Skylanders video on this channel. And yeah, thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.